Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for having me tonight. As Liz said, I'm an interior designer based out of Wyckoff. I do have a focus on wellness, and tonight I'm going to be talking to you about the science behind design, the process, and how you can take those findings and actually implement them and use them in your own home. So I am going to go ahead and share my screen. Get to, okay, here's my presentation. I'm going to open it up here. Present. Okay. Here we go. So just a little bit about me. As I said, I'm the owner of Fiori Interior Design. I've been in the industry for 20 years. I'm a member and past president of the New Jersey chapter of ASID, the American Society of Interior Designers. I am a certified aging in place specialist and a member of NKBA, that's the National Kitchen and Bath Association, and I'm also a green accredited professional. So how do we live well in our homes? It's probably a lot easier than you think. Tonight, I'm going to share with you my 10 design principles that collectively create a home that will elevate how you can feel in your home. But first, I think it would be great if I started off with a definition of what I think living well in our homes means. So to me, living in a home that for wellness is living in a home that nurtures your soul. It's one that allows you to connect with your family and yourself. It's a home that's always a place of inspiration, and it's a place where you feel safe. My 10 design principles for living well are light, color, space planning, materials, textures and patterns, visual elements, sensory elements, sound, sustainability, biophilia, universal design, which is also livable design. So tonight I'll be talking about each of these design principles, and then I'll be giving you the background on the design research behind the principles, and then how you can apply them in your home. So I've always been, it always comes down to evidence-based design research. I've always been fascinated with the research that large commercial firms require from design firms that they hire. So in commercial design, integrating research into the project is really the standard. And knowing the results of such research improves the likelihood of the ultimate success of a design. And it makes certain user experiences more likely. So for example, restaurant designers know which colors to use that will stimulate appetite, and educational designers understand how different types of lighting will impact learning. So the logic of that process was just so clear to me that I often wonder, like, why isn't that the case for residential interior designs? Like, why don't we have that for our own homes? Well, in the past year and a half, it's definitely been more prevalent, but it hasn't been until then that the research has really been as prevalent as it is. So if you want to be more focused in your home, less stressed or more relaxed and in control, here are my principles that I'm going to roll out for you. And I'm going to focus on a few of them a little bit more than others, only because you'll see that combining several can make your design highly effective. So the first principle is light. So our bodies have an internal clock that runs on a 24-hour cycle. The most obvious is the sleep-wake cycle, but all sorts of other functions are connected with it, our hormone productions and our brainwave activities. And this is known as our circadian rhythm. So the word circadian was coined in the 50s when it was discovered that the body's clock could be manipulated by lighting and feeding schedules. So in fact, the main regulator for our circadian rhythm is light, although other factors such as nighttime activity can also affect it. So with the introduction of artificial light, that cycle has been completely disrupted. The CDC estimates that 1/3 of American adults are not getting enough sleep on a regular basis, which is they're counting as 7 hours a night. On the positive side, studies have shown that stimulating their circadian rhythm can help people sleep better and feel more alert. And laboratory tests show that it can create more brain activity and speed reaction time periods. So how do we use this circadian rhythm and how can we make it work for us? So there's plenty of products on the market. Like you can buy all of these blue light products that will keep you more alert during the day, or yellow light, which will calm yourself at night. But with LED technology, turnable light can help shift from bright daylight to warmer incandescent lighting later in the day. This is where I'm talking about just the blue light that has the strongest impact. Exposure to the blue light and the white light, which contains blue light during the sensitive period, can make it really difficult to stay awake. That's why you're on your iPad at night. Put the iPad on the nightstand, just put it away. Exposure to white light during the day can have positive effects, including boosting your alertness and your mood. And so let me just go on. The red light has no effect on the circadian clock, so you can use a dim red light at night. And yellow and orange light have little effect on the clock, so you can use a very dim light or an orange light at night. Okay, so of course, our number one option for lighting is, of course, to have natural daylight. It's been proven that direct access to daylight and views reduce blood pressure, lowers the incidence of headaches, and in healthcare settings results in the need for less pain medication and shorter stay in hospitals. Exposure to daylight has also been shown to deliver higher accuracy in work, productivity, and test scores. Links between natural light put you in good moods. It's important to note as well. And when we're in a positive mood, we're better at problem solving, creative thinking, and getting along with others. And even our immune system works better when we're in a better mood. So there are also creative ways to lighten up your space if you don't have access to natural light. So this is LED technology. It's where it's a bulb, it's called a Ketra bulb, that can actually start out at it's automated to start out at the beginning of your day, where it's light blue or blue light and white light that will naturally dim towards the evening, towards the end of the day. It's a smart system that automatically transitions bulbs, brightness, and color temperature throughout the day. So, I mean, that's very high tech. A better way is to actually, and these are tips that you can use within your own home, is to layer your lighting. So starting from the top down, a chandelier in any room is great to have for that, to draw people into the space. And then for your next layer, you can add table lamps, always on dimmers, and then task lighting, as you can see in the far end of the room, where they also make a room feel cozier. And then for the last layer of lighting, include directional light, like picture lights or sconces, to create visual interest. And lastly, like I said, everything should be on dimmers, and that can be your own circadian. You can correct your own circadian rhythm in that respect. Okay. Principle number 2 is color. The impact of color far exceeds aesthetics. Color affects us physiologically as well as emotionally. Since color stimulates the nervous system, it can influence mood and provoke reactions. The use of color can make environments more peaceful and less anxiety provoking, and this translates into a positive mood again. It's important not to separate the color and light because they do work together, of course. Mm-hmm. So while color can have an effect, it shouldn't be viewed as a simplistic remedy. So I'm going to go through a few colors that they have the research backed to be able to provoke a certain mood. The first one is light colors or a clean palette and just neutrals. So often pale whites give the feeling of purity and neutrality. It can connote mental clarity and fresh beginnings. And overall, white projects cleanliness and purification. Dark colors or black is authoritative and can evoke a feeling of mystery or emptiness, actually. And culturally, we have come to view it as sophisticated. One of my favorites, yellow, is a very optimistic color. It stimulates the intellect and makes us alert and aware. It reflects more light and can fatigue the eye, though. And much like white, it is warm, inviting, and uplifting. In healthcare, certain hues of yellows work where others are more difficult. In the body, it responds to the chest, the heart, and the lungs. Highly saturated oranges are associated with joy. They radiate warmth, and in the body, it's associated with circulation and the nervous system. It can have a tonic effect that is as powerful as vitamin C, and it's very attention grabbing and very playful color. Red, very bold. It's shown that red releases adrenaline, which elevates blood pressure and quickens the heartbeat. It's exciting and energizing, and it's often attention getting. So with regard to the body, it's associated to the spine and motor skill activities. Then we have pink, very soothing color, obviously. Gentle and typically feminine and warm, pink is caring and affectionate. It's a color of love and tenderness. It can be protective and full of compassion. It's a happy color and can often be lighthearted. A more meditative color is a lilac color or purple. It's linked to creativity and spirituality, and it helps to develop insight and perception. Violet in the body corresponds to the top of the head, the nervous system, and cerebral activity. Green is a balanced color, the color of nature. So with the eye, when the eye perceives green, it makes no adjustment. Thus, green is thought to be restful and healing. It's also the color associated with balance, harmony, and renewal, and it represents a sense of equilibrium. And because it's the color of nature, it's comforting and stress relieving. Turquoise. So this blend of green and blue is vibrant and invigorating, and it's particularly suitable to healthcare because it's reminiscent of relaxing environments like a spa. Then we have blue. Blue has always been connected to calm. Its association with the sky makes it heavenly. It lowers blood pressure and the heartbeat and allows for deep breathing as it relaxes muscles and the mind. It's the color of my office. Okay. Next, I'm going to move on to space planning. So our homes communicate who we are to ourselves and to other people. And that's one of the reasons why our homes are so important to us psychologically. And that's also why customization is important. Our homes are places where the most freedom to customize the form of spaces and objects in those spaces. When people are stressed, they want to control their environment to feel more secure, as we've all found out these last 2 years. Color also involves flexibility to change an environment from moment to moment or day to day as we're trying to accomplish that. The optimal floor plan does the following. It helps people in a place feel secure. It provides sight lines across the space so that the needed information is collected, and it supports privacy when desired. So one of the principles within that space planning is symmetry, as you can see by this room. When you have symmetry in a room, there's less to take in. It's easier to understand, and it just feels balanced and it feels good. They're just, yeah. So, and they're perceived as more comforting. Balance is critical in your design decisions. as well, because overstimulation or understimulation can create anxiety. So you really have to balance what you're putting in your room. My favorite things to create are actually nooks, because you can do this with anything. You can create a nook in a window bench. You can create a nook within like an odd space or in a regular space in your room. That can be really very charming. The nooks provide opportunities for private moments in the home. Put it even like a comfortable chair off in a corner. Here's another nook that I love. Just like a chaise off in a corner can become a very comfortable space for you. And it's almost like you're not a part of the room, but it's your own private area if you don't have the room for it. It's out of the flow of traffic. Other examples of nooks are benches under a pergola, in a backyard, or a seat in an attic window. All offer moments for private moments. So the next thing I'm going to talk about in space and furniture arrangement, I love this. This is research that's shown that a circular table on the right will encourage close, more intense interaction during meals, while a rectangular table works for a more hierarchical type of family where there's a clear leader within the family. So as a nice compromise, sometimes we put an oval table into a home. So what's that? Here's an example of a circular table in a home. Principle number 4 is materials, textures, and patterns. Material selections can alter the experience of warmth, which in turn can influence how people socialize with each other. When people are physically warmer, their levels of interpersonal warmth increases. Several researchers have identified links between physical warmth and interpersonal warmth. You can apply this research by selecting materials for spaces that are particularly apt to retain heat or not as desired. So, for example, putting a warm throw or warm textiles or unupholstered pieces, they allow for the increase of social connection in a space that allows people to physically warm themselves. And thus they become more psychologically prepared for interactions with others. So textures are also like seeing wood grain, unpainted birch, for example, reduces stress as well. It affects psychologically, its effects physiologically are similar to the effects of exposure to nature. And then patterns. How do you want to feel in a room? Patterns that are more visually complex are more energizing, and then those that are more relaxing. So looking at images with more angles, like this picture here, generally energizes, while those with more curves have the complete opposite effect. The next principle is visual elements. That's my daughter. A study from the University of Westminster found that participants' stress levels decreased after a lunchtime visit to an art gallery. Participants self-reported their stress levels before entering the gallery and then spent 35 minutes exploring the space in any way they wanted. Upon exiting, they expressed being less stressed. Furthermore, they had lower concentrations of cortisol, commonly known as the stress hormone. So artwork, for example, nature photography, touches on areas of the brain that is healing. There are definite advantages to humans being around pictures of things that they like. Seeing your favorite objects can boost your mood. Artwork, that's my dog. Can boost your mood, support better problem solving and creative thinking, smoothing our interactions with others, and even streamlining the functioning of our immune system, just for starters. So since our home is the place where we have the most freedom for personalization, the simple truth is that the more that we personalize a space, the more in control we feel. And these places become our personal territories, our private domains where we feel safe and we can relax enough to put our thoughts in order. Another study conducted at the Cleveland Clinic found that visual art on display at the clinic helped reduce patient stress and increase satisfaction with their care. At one level, the art serves as a form of a positive distraction. And in other instances, as in the case of a video installation that shows a tree changing as it cycles through the seasons, patients became thoroughly engaged with the art and reported feeling a sense of peace, which helped alleviate their anxiety about their treatment. The results helped to shift the paradigm about the use of art in healthcare settings from what it costs to actually what it does for people. It's been proven that seeing your favorite objects in front of you can boost your mood, support better problem solving, and enhance creative thinking. So dust off your most meaningful objects, arrange them in an evocative grouping, and put them in a place where you can view them. Because this sort of visual reminder of things are important, and they've been linked to our well-being. And what I love about this principle is that I believe visual elements also make for great conversation, especially and you put a few objects in your foyer. Someone is picking up your daughter for play date or whatever, dropping someone off. There's always like conversation to be had, something to stimulate the conversation. Another picture of that nook, and this is it's actually one of my clients. She collects like snuff bottles from her dad, so it's a great source of conversation. And then I love this picture because it's just a reminder not to take yourself too seriously in your home as well. It's just an interesting object. I mean, this is an installation that I just installed, and it sparks conversation. It's functional, it's practical. We put a lucite table over it so you can use it. It's not just a sheep, and it's fun. So just keep in mind, though, with all of these things that you like to collect, that a recent study from UCLA found that women who live in a messy environment, and I don't know why women, but it should say women and men who live in a messy environment have higher levels of cortisol, the stress hormone associated with a string of health issues. So what to do? Start by placing baskets at the entryway for shoes and trays and hampers and wherever mess collects. And so you can collect it, it's out of the way, and it's organized at least. Okay, so principle number 6, sensory elements. So this one I'm going to go through quickly because it's just about the scents that are in your house. Rigorous research by scientists have linked the addition of pleasant scents to improving moods, and that's pretty easy to accept. Adding a pleasant scent to a space or a product via like your HV system or essential oils or something like that has other positive benefits. So if a space is pleasantly scented, we feel that we've spent less time there than if it's not, which can be positive in such places where you may not want to be for a long amount of time, like a waiting room or a retail cash wrap station, for example. We also linger in spaces that smell good, and like our stores or living rooms. So when we smell pleasant scents, we're also apt to recall pleasant memories than negative ones. And that's almost always a good thing. We report feeling less pain when we're smelling sweet scents, and scented spaces seem larger actually than unscented ones of the same size, according to research. They also seem to be cleaner and brighter. So they're also anxiety reducing scents such as vanilla, sweet orange, jasmine, or hyacinth. And rosemary has actually been proven to enhance memory function. So my tip is to light a candle with your favorite scent, and it's as easy as that. Principle number 7 is sound, acoustics and sound. It's been proven that loud noises in certain settings increase our heart rate, blood pressure, and cause hypertension. Being able to establish and maintain acoustic privacy gives people a feeling of control over their physical environments, and they add a view of nature, and that is the perfect de-stressor. Alternatively, if a space is too quiet, that can lead to the same effect as silence, just as being as anxiety provoking. So to enhance the division of quiet and communal spaces, I have this picture up here because actually this is a picture of what I have a Google Home. And at any time, I mean, it's the simplest product to use. You Google play my favorite song, and you instantly have music playing. The auditory experience of architecture is not often comprehensively evaluated by either designers or commissioning clients. It's addressed as an afterthought. So it's really something that you need to think about putting on. You can even program it to have the music on in the morning when you wake up, just that you have that background music, and it really is very calming. Okay. So to enhance, let me just see what my next screen is. Okay, I'm going to go back. So to enhance the division of quiet in communal spaces, other things you can do to enhance your space is to you can use thicker textiles on your walls. We've actually upholstered walls where noise is an issue. Even just wallpapering, you can wallpaper a thicker wallpaper on your ceiling and on your walls, and that will help to stifle certain sounds. Of course, putting down a rug in any room will also help as well. Drapery is great too, especially wool drapery panels with acoustical backing to the fabric, and ceiling panels or clouds, but that looks a little bit commercial, so I didn't add it here. So principle number 8 is sustainability. Okay, we're back to the sheep. So the Environmental Protection Agency states that most people receive 72% of their exposure to chemicals and pollutants at home. For women and children and elderly, this number is even greater. Children and the elderly who have developing brains and bodies or potentially compromised immune systems can be impacted more significantly by indoor toxins. Poor air quality can produce a long list of symptoms, from sneezing or burning eyes to chronic respiratory disorders. Multiple chemical sensitivity is being developed at a greater rate, beginning at an earlier age. And because people react differently, it's difficult for researchers to determine exact exposure levels or periods in order to cause various health side effects. According to a Green Guard national organization that certifies home products for VOC levels, common indoor air is now 2 to 5 times more polluted than outdoor air. And this poor air quality can affect us in significant ways. So what do we need to do about this? First of all, for starters, improve your home's air quality by using wool carpeting. That's why I have the picture of the sheep up here. Wool is a natural fiber that is biodegradable, rapidly renewable. It's moisture and water resistant if left untreated. You never really have to treat wool. I would say opt for wool instead of nylon or polyester if you can. Polyester is made from petrochemicals that pollute the environment. And then use products that are low VOCs. Benjamin Moore paints, Sherwin-Williams paints, any line of paint will have those options available. They're a little bit pricier, but the smell isn't as pungent as a regular can of paint. And if you change only one thing, get rid of the nylon carpet. Okay, this is an air system that has a HEPA filter that you can put right on your shelf. If you're using an air system that brings the refreshing outdoor air indoors. And it also prohibits mold growth and it helps to keep the air clean. You should also look for furniture that doesn't use toxic glues. Anything that's locally made or typically made in the US does not has to hold to those standards. And then open the window. Specify windows that can be opened to increase the exchange between indoor and outdoor air. This will help remove nitrogen oxide from the home. And this is actually a linoleum floor, which is one of the most environmentally friendly flooring materials made of renewable ingredients, such as linseed oil, pine rosin, and wood flour. It has long-lasting, washable, biodegradable characteristics, and it can be found or designed in a multiple of patterns and colors. It's not your old linoleum that you're probably used to seeing. And then lastly, look for the Green Guard label. This will certify that that companies are actually, they're sustainable companies and that they're concerned with the environment. Okay, number 9 is biophilic design. So research conducted at Johns Hopkins, let me see what my next picture is. I'm going to go back. Research conducted at Johns Hopkins has revealed that looking at nature scenes while hearing nature's sounds can help reduce even extreme pain. Patients undergoing bone marrow biopsies were randomly assigned to standard care, plain curtains, no background, no sound, or to be surrounded by curtains with cityscapes on them or curtains with nature scenes. The urban and the nature scene curtains were paired with recordings of noises from a city and nature respectively. And when a physician skilled in pain management was conducting the procedure, patients surrounded by the nature scene and listening to nature sounds generally experience less pain. Oh, I have one of my things, okay. Then I wanted to design. Oh, okay, one of my notes was messed up. Okay, so using natural materials can present a sense of scale, texture, color, and materiality that have a naturally calming effect on people, both biologically and neurological levels, reducing stress hormones and physical fatigue. So even large-scale images where connection to the outdoor isn't possible make a difference on the human experience. So, and just to explain the term biophilia, for those who don't know, it means connecting intentionally with nature. And the results of one study in Norway spoke so strongly to the benefits that occur when we stay connected to nature. In this study, plants were introduced to a workspace, and the benefit of that simple action was a 30% reduction in fatigue, 24% reduction in coughs, sore throats, and stuffy noses, and eye irritation. And this is all a result of indoor air quality that the plants are bringing into the buildings. So another form of biophilia that you might not think of is just bringing in maybe a wallpaper or a pattern that shows nature. This is just another way that we can feel better in our space. Even like the past picture that I showed was a bamboo chair, that natural material, bringing it into your space. Incorporating movement in the space with indoor fountains or mobiles, natural repeating patterns. Think of rhythm and repetition and lines and patterns as part of your design. And of course, plants. I don't know what my next screen is. This is a living wall, and you've probably seen these. They're becoming more popular. And this is a large scale design, but it's introducing bringing nature indoors. And you can even purchase them on a smaller scale. And this will increase your feeling of wellness in your house. Of course, the best thing to do is to get outside, but if you're not in an area where you're not able to take that daily walk, simply making a few changes will help a lot. For example, by adding plants, they'll improve the air quality, as I mentioned, and increase the humidity within your house. It's been proven that being outside in a natural environment can improve memory performance and attention span by 20%. And who couldn't use an extra boost of attention in the attention department these days? Okay, my last wellness principle that I'm going to talk about is universal design. It's also known as livable design or aging in place. Universal design is the design and composition of an environment so that it can be accessed, understood, and used to the greatest extent possible by all people, regardless of your age, size, ability, or disability. 90% of homeowners over the age of 65 report that they would prefer to stay in their homes. This was pre-COVID as they age. This research is pre-COVID. The American Institute of Architects in a survey found that the desire to age in place is the top driver of current architectural work. However, an AARP study survey found that adults age 50 and over lack housing features that could make them more comfortable and safe as the effects of aging set in. Respondents reported an absence of aging-friendly home elements, such as wider doorways, like 32 to 36 inches. The standard doorways are usually about 28 inches. Non-slip floors and bathroom aids, such as grab bars. I'm going to show you a few examples of alterations that you can make in your house so that you're able to age in place or have a livable design home. One of these aging in place, as people age, your hands might become a little bit arthritic. So putting a faucet that is a touchless faucet is a great thing to have in your kitchen. Here's another. Lighting is an aging in place principle. Here's an island that we just installed, and it works with Alexa. So if you're up in the middle of the night, I mean, tripping and falling is one of the main reasons why people are they're in physical therapy, with older people. So the homeowners requested this, that the lighting, when they're in the kitchen, Alexa, turn on the light, and the light underneath the under cabinet. They're not fumbling, looking around for the lights, and you're safer in your space. On the right, you see it's a pull down shelving, so that you don't have to get up on a chair. You don't have to reach further. It comes all the way down, and all the shelves pull down. So it's really accessible for any height. Another way to design for an aging in place. This is a kitchen that I found online. It's the multiple levels. So if someone's in a wheelchair, they have the accessibility of the lower level. It's a table level, but then there's another level for prep area. And then there's the bar height level that works within the kitchen, within the inside of the kitchen area. Raising your microwave, that's another tip, that you don't have to bend as much, or oftentimes you'll see the microwaves above the stove. So here you have both functions, as well as the oven on that height as well. And then raising up the dishwasher, so you don't have to bend down all the time, and it's accessible as well from a wheelchair. Lever handles are just more comfortable to use, again, for arthritic hands. And this one's really pretty, has marble on it. And then the piece on the right is actually a grab bar. And it's a grab bar that doesn't look like a grab bar. It's a beautiful curved shape. And we've also had grab bars that do double duty as a towel holder. You can put your towel on it. So we always recommend that if you're building a new bathroom, that before you close up the walls or tile up the walls in a shower, that you block out those walls. And you can, even if you don't want to put the grab bars in today, at this time, maybe 10 or 20 years down the line, you know that you have that blocking in the bathroom, and you're able to install that safety mechanism. Even in your bathrooms, double height sinks. I'm actually designing a bathroom right now for a client. This isn't my design, but the husband is over 6 feet tall. The wife is about 5 feet tall. So this is something that I showed them that we're going to implement in their bathroom so that she's comfortable at her height and he's comfortable at his height. This bathroom here also happens to be wheelchair accessible. And you can see, like, you can have a very chic looking bathroom, such as the one on the left, and that is also functions well. It's wheelchair accessible, and it's just beautiful. On the right is a shower that has a 0 entry, so that should you be walking using a walker, or even it's for the younger mom who's giving her her child a bath, they're able to both, or a shower, they're able to both be in the shower. It's wide enough. And then there's the handle on the nozzle is adjustable so that it works for any height. And that is the end of my presentation. So thank you everyone for joining me. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed it.
Oh, thank you. So I'm gonna, if you would stop the screen share, I guess I could probably.
Okay.
Oh, I think I can do it. And then I would open up the room. If anybody I'm going to remove your spotlight, and we're going to kind of feel like we're a little bit back together in the same room. And if anybody has any questions, Terri, that was so much to think about. And I'm looking around the room where I am thinking, okay, I need plants and I need, does anybody have any questions or pieces of clarification? Oh, somebody popped up, asked, how do you feel about Feng Shui?
How do I feel about it? I have friends who practice Feng Shui, and it's just I prefer the research and I know that Feng Shui is thousands of years in practice, but I prefer the hard and fast research. It's just what I enjoy. I enjoy learning about the psychology behind design. So that's why that is more of my specialty versus Feng Shui.
I was wondering how you would bring, you said plants, but you had like an empty kind of bird cage, but are there ways to bring in this, I think you called it biophilic?
Biophilia.
Can that be just with plants, or did you also mean with like live things?
It could be anything. It could be the wallpaper that has plants or has flowers on it and has that movement. Biophilia can be more than just like green plants and things like that. It's more in nature. It could be, the ocean, scenes of the ocean. It could be anything that is related to nature.
Oh, so just in your mind. Okay. So it's going to connote, right. That's good. There's a question here about how do you avoid following trends too closely? I don't know. Liz, you could unmute yourself and maybe clarify. Oh, there you are. And hi, Nessie. Nice to see you.
Here I am. Yes. So I love to follow trends and look at like design books and such. I know it's easy to do that with paint because you could just repaint something, but like, how do you not get caught up in a trend and then have like regret later? Maybe. Yeah.
So, so my advice would be to just keep those trends in smaller, less expensive ways, like maybe the trend, or maybe it's the color of a pillow or the texture of a pillow, like throwing pillows, or maybe it's an accessory or two, that you don't feel like you've invested in so much. So you can sprinkle those trends in. And then when they're out, you don't feel as remorseful than that large red sofa or something, that you really put an investment into.
That's actually good advice. So just unless you're going to plan to just redecorate every few years.
Every few years, yeah. Typically, it's every. I'm fine. Like about if at year 15, people are like, "Oh, I think I really have to redecorate," and then by year 20,
Oh,
you're like, "I need to redecorate."
wow, that's a longer time. So you know what? For a
It is.
20-year investment, Liz, it might not be too bad if you go trendy. So, Cappy, did you have a question?
I don't have a question, but I do have a comment. I was very happy to see you discuss color. I look in magazines all the time, and I happen to like gray and I like beige, but entire interiors done in that I find initially restful and then 5 minutes later boring, because I know what would happen if I had it. I'd put something on the wall, I'd throw pillows on, I'd bring in color. So that was refreshing to see that. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, I loved color too. I actually gravitate to like bright saturated colors because I think it really makes you feel a certain way.
But it is interesting because it seems like the earth tones are kind of coming back in. I feel like I've seen a lot of that. And even the gray that was so in is sort of moving back to sort of the beigey sage kind of colors. And is there a reason why those trends shift besides Benjamin Moore trying to stay in business, or?
Well, I feel like the grays they're finally, I don't know, I don't do gray very well. I don't do neutrals very well.
Okay.
I just think that, color is more exciting, but the reason for it, I don't know. It was, I'm not a millennial, but it was definitely like the millennial gray where everything had to be Revere pewter, Benjamin Moore color. But it's definitely shifted away from that. And I'm definitely seeing more color, more traditional, more vintage and more antiques. And I don't know if that's because of the supply chain, because they're accessible right now. But definitely I happen to be seeing more color, but I think it's also like what you focus on too expands. Just do what you like, do what you love.
I have a question. This is going to sound really dumb. Wool, for example, always irritates my skin and everything. Like if I use it as a blanket or something, it always irritates my skin. And I don't know if it's an allergy towards it. I don't know what it is, but it makes my skin extremely itchy. Is that common?
Well, if you wanted to be like go the sustainable route. So it is definitely an itchier or a more coarse fabric for sure. 100% like organic cotton, if you're looking for sustainability, like that's always an option as well.
There is a question here about what do you think about mixing patterns?
I love mixing patterns. It's just very energizing, very exciting. You happen to see a lot of that today as well. It's really trickier for sure. So you have to really balance what you're mixing. So maybe your sofa is a solid, but then all the pillows are the mixture. And that's like where that you can see that, like you can go with that trend. But at the end of the day, you'll still have your linen colored sofa. But you're investing and you're still bringing that color in. So yeah, I love mixing colors and patterns.
Yeah, go ahead, Liz, if you have another.
Can I ask one more question? So
Yeah,
you
sure.
brought up something that I've been seeing a lot in magazines, and I don't know if it's a return, because I remember this once being a trend, but like I like the wood beams that are seemingly back in ceilings.
Mhm.
So, you mentioned how wood itself inside can be of benefit. So could you say
Yes.
a little bit more about that?
So it's definitely a de-stressor, like when you see those natural elements, and it just defines a space even more, depending on the space. So if you have a room that has a double height ceiling, just to make it less cavernous, you can even, like, maybe your moldings are a natural wood moldings around, or you can add the beams going across the room. So, and that, it just makes your room feel more comfortable. It adds that element of nature. I've actually had beams, I've painted beams that look like natural wood. So like you don't have to go through the construction of bringing the beams in. But there are artists who can paint them to look like and replicate wood beams. So that's something that definitely will warm up your space.
Thank you. That's great.
Sure.
Susan.
I just wanted to say I have a new home. It's very exciting because I haven't had a new home in 35 years. And I see Donna Dykstra on here, who has a new home, and I don't know if anyone else does. But my son is a film editor. He's very visual, and he visited, and he said, "Mom, where are your plants?" And I went, "Oh, I don't have any plants." And he said, "I think that's what you're missing." And he helped me go out and buy house plants. And I think maybe living down here, there's a little bit more light, so it might be easier. I'm in Austin, Texas, instead of New Jersey now. But maybe it's a little bit easier to have houseplants. But I just have to tell, not that much. I have to tell you what a difference that bringing that nature into my house has made in my life. I'm like texting him a couple of times, this month, going, "Wow, I feel so much better with these plants around." I really think there's something to that, bringing nature inside. And I've seen those living walls. I won't purchase one because they're too expensive, but they are beautiful.
That's actually, thank you, Susan, for sharing, because that's like a real life example of how it's lifting your mood. And I was actually going to ask if there was the living wall thing. I have seen a lot, and it's beautiful. And I didn't know it. Are there ways to kind of manage that affordably, especially if you're in a smaller space?
Yeah, you can absolutely, like the example that I showed was one that I found from Etsy. And those
Okay.
are just all succulents, and they're so easy to take care of, and you don't need.
Oops. Oh, wait, I'm sorry, you got muted. I'm sorry. I don't know. Unmute.
I got muted.
Okay.
Okay. What
Sorry.
did you last hear?
Just about the succulent walls.
Okay, so yeah, so I mean, the example that I showed had succulents on it, and they're very easy to take care of. And I mean, there's certain plants that are easier to take care of than others. So yeah, you can have them from a very small scale to an entire wall full of greenery if you wanted to.
I have something I need to say about plants. It won't work in my house because we have multiple cats in this house, and I guarantee you they will go after the plants and they will actually eat it. So we would love to have a plant, but how do you have a plant when you have cats in the house?
How about a hanging plant?
Oh, trust me, they'll go after that. They'll figure it out. They'll go after it. That's smart.
You know what? The research has shown also that even just a fake plant that looks like a real plant, like that's an option as well.
Okay, there you go. There you go, Deborah. Out to get a plastic plant.
One that looks
These
real.
cats are smarter than we are. Trust me, these cats are very smart. They know what to go after. They're not
They
supposed
won't
to.
eat it. Okay.
They're smart out.
That's funny. So we just have about a minute left, and I wanted to make sure if anybody had any other questions. Terri, you've been so generous with all this information, and it's really been helpful.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any?
Living wall pouches.
Ah,
There you go.
okay,
$12.99.
$12.99. Okay, thank you, Amy. Spoken like somebody who lives in an apartment. Got to make it work in a small
That's
scale. Well,
funny.
I love that. Well, thank you very much, everybody, for gathering. And I hope that as you are still at home, you're able to incorporate some of these ideas. We have recorded this evening, and in about a week's time, you can check out our West Side YouTube channel, and you will see this presentation if you'd like to look again or share some of these ideas with a friend. So as we leave from our place, it's always this space means so much to us, and we always invite you to come back again week after week. Next week we will be live and live stream for our first Wednesday night practice, and we'll be in the sanctuary at West Side in Ridgewood, or live streamed. I'll send out information about that. We will be experiencing the practice of evening prayer, a way to transition from the day into the evening and say goodbye to what was. So we hope you'll join us. But as we go from this place this evening, it is just our wish that you continue to be well. Have a nice evening, and thanks for joining us.